Hey everyone, I'm Kim Tolson. If you don't know me yet, I'm the person behind the Traveling Therapist podcast, which is part of the SciCraft network of podcasts. I'm so proud to be a part of this network, along with Gordon at the Practice of Therapy podcast. If you haven't discovered the Traveling Therapist podcast yet, you can find us wherever you listen to podcasts. I'd love for you to join us and explore the ins and outs of running a therapy practice while you travel the world. Be sure to check us out at thetravelingtherapist.com/podcast for all the updates and lessons I'm learning as a traveling therapist and the adventures of other traveling therapists.
A little over 15 years ago, when I started my private practice, I had to learn a lot, and most of it the hard way, and I don't think you need to do the same. Hi, I'm Gordon Brewer, a licensed psychotherapist, and welcome to the Practice of Therapy podcast, part of the SciCraft network of podcasts. Join me in this journey of discovery as we have conversations with other leaders and professionals in both the mental and allied health fields. Join us as we explore both the business and clinical sides of running a private practice. Hello, everyone. This is episode number 258 of the Practice of Therapy podcast. I'm Gordon Brewer. Glad you're joining me. Glad you're here for this particular episode. I'm really looking forward to you hearing from my guest today, Dr. Amy Fortney Parks. And Amy and I go back a ways, and I realized that, I'm not sure if she's been on the podcast before or not, but I'm not going to make a claim one way or the other. But anyway, Amy's a good friend, and we go back a ways and just in our consulting circles and that sort of thing. But in this episode, we're going to be talking about the importance of supervision and really why you might want to consider, integrating that with your practice if you're not doing so already. In particular, just thinking about how we can bring up other clinicians within our practice and also just be there as a trainer to help promote the professions. We also talk a little bit about licensure portability, and kind of full disclosure, we both kind of rant about that a little bit. But anyway, looking forward to you hearing from Amy. It's hard to believe that we're almost done with 2022. And as I was getting this episode out and ready, realized that there's only going to be one other episode in the month of December, if you're listening to this in December 2022. And then usually I take a couple of weeks off from podcasting. I figure most people are, in the throes of the holiday season, so they're probably busy doing other things. But anyway, I did want to mention, now that we're towards the end of the year, one of the things, of course, I'm doing already, and you're probably doing the same, and that is just kind of reflecting back on the year and thinking about 2022 and all that's happened during the year and what you'd like to see yourself do better in 2023. And, it's that time of year we think about resolutions and setting new goals and all that sort of thing. But one of the themes that came up for me during 2022 is this theme of community. And, not to get into too long of a story about this, but one of the things I realized that was kind of missing for people was an economical way for people that are getting started in private practice to have a way to connect with others and also just learn stuff, just learn some of the, not only the basics, but also some of the more advanced stuff about running a practice, particularly the business side of things. And so that's why I started the Practice Launch Club. And the Practice Launch Club, you've heard me talk about it if you've been listening to the podcast here for a while. But if you haven't been listening, the Practice Launch Club is an exclusive membership community particularly for those folks that are in those beginning stages of running a private practice. And with the Practice Launch Club, we meet twice a month, once 1 hour per month in our focus group, but also have office hours available for 30 minutes during the month. So you get interaction with me via Zoom. We record the meetings. Also, there's a library of resources available to the people within the community of just different lessons and courses, and also resources like paperwork packets. All of those kinds of things are included in the Practice Launch Club. But most importantly, it's a way for you to build community and connect with other people that are at similar places in their journey. And that is the main reason that I started the Practice Launch Club, was because going into private practice for a lot of folks can feel really kind of isolating. And so the benefit of being part of this group and this community is that you get that connection and you get that support. And also you get to learn all the things that you didn't learn in graduate school. So I'd love for you to go check it out. And you can find out more about it by going to practiceoftherapy.com/launch club. And here's the other thing that I've been thinking about and wanted to let you know about. I'm going to close the cart for the Practice Launch Club at the end of this year. I'm going to hold off on taking any new members at the end of December of 2022. But I also want to give you a little bit of incentive to join if you're thinking about it, and that is through getting a discount on the membership. I'm dropping the price down close to what it was for the founding members, not quite as low, but if you will use the promo code of PLC22, you can get your membership for just $59 a month. And that will be as long as you are a member of the Practice Launch Club. Normally the membership is $87, but from the time that you're hearing this till the end of the month of December 2022, if you use the coupon code or the promo code PLC22, you can become a member. And also, if you're not sure if this is right for you or not, feel free to reach out to me. You can email me at gordon@practiceoftherapy.com, and we can chat to see if this is going to be a good fit for you and your journey. But what a great way to start off the new year by having the support you need in your practice, particularly if you're in those beginning stages. And also, if you just need support in general, feel free to reach out to me at any time. And also, I do individual consulting as well. I've had several conversations with people about that and have worked with people individually at different stages of their practice, whether they're in group practice already or whenever. But anyway, reach out to me for that. So anyway, went on about that for a little bit there, maybe too long. I don't know. But anyway, before we get to my interview with Dr. Amy Fortney Parks, I'd love for you to hear from our sponsor, TherapyNotes.
As your practice grows, the systems and processes you have in place will keep your practice running smoothly. That is why it is important to have an electronic health record system that is specific to mental health providers. TherapyNotes is a complete practice management system with everything you need to manage patient records, schedule appointments, meet with patients remotely, create rich documentation, and bill insurance right at your fingertips. Their streamlined software is accessible wherever and whenever you need it. They are who Gordon uses in his practice. And did I mention that they are one of the top-rated EHRs for mental health private practices? Their support is also second to none. Be sure to check them out at practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes. Be sure to use the promo code GORDON to get 2 months free.
Well, hello, folks, and welcome again to the podcast. And I'm so glad to have back with me Dr. Amy Parks. Welcome, Amy.
Thank you so much, Gordon. I'm really excited to be at the Practice of Therapy podcast today. It's great to see you.
Yes. And it's really good to reconnect with Amy. We kind of go back a ways. I'm not sure exactly. I know we connected through different, consulting kind of channels with different people that we all kind of cross-pollinate with, but
yeah, we got some OG history, Gordon.
Yes, we do. We do. So, well, Amy, as I start with everyone, why don't you tell folks a little bit about yourself and how you've landed where you've landed, and then we're going to just kind of launch into this exciting thing you're working on.
Yeah, absolutely. So I live in Virginia, so I'm on the East Coast like you are, and or on the eastern side of the country. And I am a group practice owner in Virginia, and our practice is called the Wise Family. We work with children, teens, and families here in the Virginia area. And so that's really what I do a lot of the time. And part of that work is, in addition to that, is working with new residents. And I also teach at a university. I do the internship and practicum and internship courses there. And so the reason why I reached out to you and sort of wanted to talk to your audience and jump in with you today was to talk about the new thing that I'm sort of or got really passionate about during the pandemic. And I sort of make a joke about this, but I guess I was maybe either bored or, I don't know, like a lot of people, maybe I drank too much or did something really wacky during the pandemic, but, started to really realize that, we were really struggling. All of us were struggling with boots on the ground, getting clinicians trained quickly and efficiently and well to do the work. And I started to look around and to see that, a lot of people, I don't know if you had this issue, but I know that I did, struggle with finding supervision and struggle with, getting connected with their supervisors. And I started to look around during the pandemic to try to see, how easy is it for people at the state level to find their supervisors? Because my students were complaining about how tough it was. I knew a lot of people were struggling. I knew that I had trouble finding a supervisor. And a lot of people some people get lucky with finding a supervisor at their place of business or where they get hired for work, but that doesn't always happen. And what I was discovering was many people were telling me the story that they found their supervisor, through a friend of a friend of a friend or a colleague or asking somebody. And that's really how you find a good restaurant. That's not how you find the person who's going to guide your professional career development. And so I started, really looking around, and some individual states do a pretty decent job of having some directories of supervision or supervisors, but states throughout the country are not mandated to provide a list of the supervisors they credential. They're just mandated to credential them. And so like in Virginia, for example, up until recently, we only just provided a list of the name and email address and the zip code of our supervisors. So that's all you got. And in fact, that list wasn't even kept up to date. So if the supervisor had died, you wouldn't have even known, and they just would never respond to you. And so I just started to really look around, and trust me, Gordon, I looked really darn hard because I didn't want to have to solve this problem. I thought, surely our associations have figured this out. Surely someone has solved this problem, but no one had on a national level. And so I thought, well, what happens to these universities graduates who leave, their university in Virginia and go back to, Tennessee to live, or they go to Maine to live, or they go back to Montana to live? How do they find supervision there? How complicated is that? And every state has different requirements, as we well know, in counseling and social work and other disciplines, LMFTs. And so I decided to mortgage my house, and I had a directory built that's called the Clinical Supervision Directory. And it is a connection superhighway, a national connection superhighway for supervision seekers and supervisors. That is essentially, jokingly, we say the Tinder of supervision without the dating, because, of course, there is no dating in supervision. But it's really a connection way for supervision seekers to find supervisors anywhere in the US. And you can jump on, for free as a supervision seeker,
Mm-hmm.
and put in your any kind of parameter. So you can put in things like, for example, you can look for a supervisor in your state that speaks Spanish, or that is in a specific zip code, or has business experience, private practice building experience,
Mm-hmm.
or works in particularly, say they're a Christian-based supervisor. They have
Mm-hmm.
experience in faith-based counseling or maternal health or something, more specific niche focused
Mm-hmm.
supervisors. We've never had that before,
Right.
ever.
Mm-hmm.
And this is an opportunity for supervision seekers to really find supervisors that can match with what they are looking for in terms of training and support, and quickly. So they're not laying on their parents' couches or waiting for months and months and months to get started with their supervision, but they can hit the ground running the minute that they graduate and go into supervision with somebody that is skilled and ready to roll.
Right. Yeah, it's as I was, Amy and I were talking about before we started recording, I've had this same conversation with one of our, I guess she does something similar that you do at the university level from East Tennessee State University, Dr. Cassandra Pusateri, and just the struggle they have in helping students find supervisors after they graduate. And then, and that too, the other thing too, is just with the different niches and different, tracks that people can take. It can sometimes be difficult. I know for me, I'm an AAMFT approved supervisor. And unfortunately, in my state, in Tennessee, there's very few of us with that credential, and so they have to go to the AAMFT website, and the information there may or may not be correct. All of that sort of thing.
And they have to know to do that. So absolutely. So we need you in the directory, Gordon. And here's the key. You don't even have to be looking for supervision seekers. You don't even have to be looking for supervisees to be in the directory. So there is a cost, there's a fee to be in the directory. And that the purpose of that is to pay our staff. This isn't a money-making endeavor for me. I need to pay back my mortgage, but and my fees for my staff and for the marketing that we do. The goal, however, though, is you don't have to be looking for supervisees to have a listing. Although one supervisee that you have on your team, certainly it can grow your business. And one supervisee that pays you for supervision or works on your team, even if they don't pay you, can pay back your listing. But the goal is, even if you're not looking for someone, you have expertise in getting licensed and credentialing that the average person, or even a clinician that, isn't up to date on the regulations, doesn't necessarily have, because you are keeping up with that information. And that is so critical for someone to be able to even take 15 minutes of your time to ask you a couple questions and say, what is the regulation on this? Who can I speak to? Because who's out there. You probably know 5 people who are taking supervisees. I certainly know I do. I can name 5 people right now who I know are actively taking supervisees. And I know 5 people right now who are looking to hire. So if someone called me, I don't want any supervisees right now. If someone called me right now and said, Dr. Parks, do you know anyone who's taking supervisees and or who is hiring? I'd be like, absolutely. Yeah. And so what an amazing opportunity for us to help people get connected. I need that Tennessee State University person's name, because I could get every single one of those people a job. And every one of those employers need to be connected with us as well.
Right. Yeah. And I think that's one of the things that, I think there's a lot of things, and we can go a lot of directions with this. One, something you mentioned is just the fact that our licensure portability problem is just a terrible problem force within the United States. I mean, it's ridiculous that we have so many different rules and all of that sort of thing. And, and then the other problem, not to get on my soapbox, is just, state boards that are just broken. I mean,
and that's a big challenge. I mean, in counseling, MFT, AAMFT is a bit less complex. NASW is a bit less complex, but ACA and the Board of Counseling is extraordinarily complex. There are 22 out of the 50 plus DC, 51 technically states. There are 22 different initials, acronyms for counselors in the US. 22.
Wow.
Out of the 51 states. Now, how is the community supposed to understand that? Not to mention the people that are coming into the field. That is so complicated. And so, I mean, licensure portability is a really massive problem. And then not to mention how frequently, I can't tell you, probably on a daily basis, someone will reach out to us and say, how do I become a supervisor in this state? How do I become a supervisor in this state? And on our site, we try to connect you with the information on how to do that, but it varies per state. Some states in the country just require you to show up and say, I want to be a supervisor. Some states, like Illinois, for example, everyone can be a supervisor. After the first year of licensure as a clinician, everyone is credentialed as a supervisor. Everyone.
Wow.
And then in Virginia, for example, you have to take 20 CE hours to become a supervisor, but not everyone has to do that, or not everyone does that. So it's extraordinarily variable.
Yeah.
So why is that? Why is that? That doesn't make sense either. So
right. Yeah, and it's and then too, I think with different, depending on the area of the country you're in, you've got different concentrations of the different licensures. And so then you've got to match somebody with the right,
especially with
right
the LMFTs. Yes, definitely. Because there's so many LMFTs in California and New York. Huge pockets of those, and then not in other parts of the country. Definitely.
Right. Yeah. So that's cool. So tell folks, how they can maybe get in your directory and all of that sort of thing.
Yeah. So it's super easy. What we've done is, we have some really exciting partnerships that my team the other day said, it's exciting for me to say I have a team, but anyway, the team the other day said, is this the calm before the storm? And I said, yeah, totally. So we have some massive partnerships that are going to launch in January, which are going to just, make it the place, to be, but, it's really easy. It's clinicalsupervisiondirectory.com. And basically when you go on, it just kind of divides you into two segments. Either you're seeking supervision. So you're a supervision seeker. So you're free and you're looking for supervision, and it takes you into that path, or you're a supervisor and it takes you down that path. And it just kind of divides you out into those two segments. The other area that we have sort of started to develop as well, though, is an interesting one for people like us, Gordon, kind of the OGs in the world who are maybe not. Now, you and I are both supervisors, but we know a lot of people that are colleagues of ours, Gordon, that are not supervisors, but are really skilled in our field. They are experts in our field, but they're not credentialed as supervisors. So they couldn't sign off on someone's licensure, but they are absolutely top in their field. So we have also started to sort of look to having an area of our site called experts. So experts in the field, because we found that a lot of people were reaching out to us and saying, I don't actually need supervision in this, but I do need supervision clinically in this. I need clinical supervision in this particular area, substance use or LGBTQ issues or maternal health that comes up a lot, or gender identity. So what we are also looking for are people that want to position themselves as experts in certain areas, because there are people that are licensed that are looking for case consultation and or clinical supervision in that area. And what we'll be developing in 2023 are a number of different case consultation group models where those people will hold sort of like a monthly case consultation. If you're a member of our,
cool.
if you're a member of our site, you'll be offered the opportunity for free to be a part of their case consultation groups where you can come and bring a case, because there isn't anything like that. We don't have clinical supervision for in these areas of expertise, unless you happen to be in a practice where you were lucky enough to have that expert that happens to work there. So, this is another opportunity. I mean, we will vet those people, of course, and make sure that they are who they say they are and their licenses are accurate and up to date and stuff like that. We will do that due diligence. But
I don't think, another thing I was thinking about too, just in the same vein as this, is that if somebody were getting some sort of specific certification like EMDR or certified sex addiction therapist, that kind of thing, there's a need there for finding supervisors to supervise you for your certification.
Yes, absolutely. So EMDR, you can have so we do have supervisors that provide EMDR and RPT. So those can be anywhere in the country, those people. So when you are a supervisor in those areas, so how it works is, when you put in, for example, say you put in, that you want a supervisor, for LMFT. So say you want LMFT, you will get all the people in LMFT throughout the whole country. And so the states will come up. So say you put in just Tennessee LMFT, you'll just get Gordon Brewer and, 100 other people. But if you put in RPT, or if you put in registered play therapist, say you put in, if you put in, you'll get everybody, because everyone throughout the whole country can do anyone else throughout the whole country. They're EMDR and RPT have covered the whole country. They're the only ones that have figured out how to credential everyone across the country the same way.
Right.
So we need to use them as the model.
Yeah, right. Yeah, I totally agree.
But it's partly because everyone just likes their fiefdoms. I mean, it just doesn't make sense why that has become necessary. I don't know, but there's no one that's going to be able to agree on a model.
Right.
Everyone just wants their fiefdoms, and it's unfortunately the consumer, and of course us, as the practitioners, but the consumer is the one that ultimately suffers, because it makes it that much more complicated for the practitioner to be able to function.
Right. Yeah, and the other thing too is just with the shortage we have of mental health providers, anything we can do to kind of make the path easier.
Absolutely.
I mean, you finding that balance between clinical integrity and being able to do sound, efficacious work. We've got to maintain that, but we don't have to make it overly complicated for people to learn stuff.
Well, and here's the interesting thing. So I had a conversation with ACA, the American Counselors Association, in people about, I don't know, maybe 8 months ago. And they had said to me, why is supervision? I mean, they didn't really say it like this, but they kind of implied, like, why is supervision, so important? And they weren't saying it wasn't, they were just asking for my response. And I said, the thing that should be keeping ACA up at night, the thing that should be keeping NASW up at night, the thing that should be keeping AMCA up at night is how to get clinicians on the ground that are expertly trained quickly. Period. That's the only thing you should be thinking about. The only thing. Because you're a not-for-profit organization. Your only goal is to get people expertly trained on the ground quickly, period. That's it. That's the only thing you should be doing. Right. And I said, at the end of the day, the only way to do that is through university instruction and supervision, period. So that should be the only things you should be focusing on.
Yes.
And yet those are the two things you spend the least amount of time on.
Yeah.
And I think it's just so fascinating to me to watch that happen as as an OG member of the profession.
Yes. Yes.
So I don't know.
Yeah.
That's just obviously my personal opinion. I don't think they like that answer, but
yeah. Well, I think in general, and this is just, again, I'm gonna, not to get on a soapbox, but I think one of the things that a lot of our professional organizations have done is this: they have kind of, I don't want to go out on a limb and say they're irrelevant, but they've made what they did in the past is maybe not as relevant as it is today. I mean, it's, and what I mean by that is that there was a bit of, joining an association, there was something about a little bit of a prestige, that kind of thing. And I don't know that is so much important to people as much as it is just knowing that they're going to help them in their career. And so, yeah. Mm-hmm. So anyway, not to get too far off on a tangent, I know, having served previously in the past in the Tennessee Marriage and Family Therapy Association, they really had their hands tied by the national organization and the way it was structured. And so the structure of things, is something we've got to look at and really kind of rework.
Yeah. And it's hard to say, what's going to happen going forward and how, I do feel like there are lots of opportunities for support through those organizations. And, I 100% support people being members. I am a member of all of them. We as a clinical supervision directory support them 1,000% and want to see them do better.
Yes.
To raise the bar on supervision. And so, that's a major thing. And it's so funny though. I have to tell you, Gordon, you're going to laugh when you hear this. I when I started this supervision directory, I said to my accountant, I said two things to people, to my close confidants. I said, one thing, I said, does this have to be a real business? Like, is this a real thing? Like, does it need to have like its own, like LLC and everything? And she said, yes, it does. It needs to have, now we have a trademark and we have like, it's like a real thing. And then I also said to another friend of mine, I said, I really just don't want to be like supervision girl. Like, I don't want that to be my identity. I have absolutely surpassed both things. It is truly a full-fledged business of its very own. And I am officially like supervision girl.
Okay.
So, I don't know how it all happens.
That's an accidental niche.
It's become a thing. And, but I really do think that, I want to lead more conversations around this area. And again, it's not even just, as you mentioned before, not just people going into licensure, but interns, and raising people up through the university, system of internship and moving into residency and really helping people, get through that process, and on the ground.
Well, one of the things that I've learned, again, but talking about the kind of the shortage of licensed clinicians, is what seems to be a better option for me as a group practice owner is that when I need more staff, I've maxed out right now, but when I need more staff, it is much more appealing to me to raise somebody up.
Absolutely.
And do the supervision and kind of, bring them on board that way, rather than trying to scour and find licensed people with experience, all of that kind of stuff. And
yeah, absolutely.
I think it's a much more win-win kind of thing.
Absolutely. And yet at the same time, part of what we need to be working on being able to do too is helping us as supervisors know how to help those residents learn to stay too. I mean, I want my residents to stay.
Yes.
Also.
Yes. Making it a true career out of it and being able to, and
stay in the field.
Yes, absolutely. Well, Amy, I know I've got to be respectful of your time, and I'm so glad we reconnected.
Absolutely.
So any parting thoughts, and also tell folks how they can get in touch with you and get started.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, they can find us at it's called clinicalsupervisiondirectory.com. It's clinicalsupervisiondirectory.com. They can find us on Instagram and Facebook and LinkedIn. They can find us at hello@the-csd.com. And I'm all over, kind of all over the place. So certainly can reach out to us in any of those locations. And I guess, my parting words are, we need to get you in the directory, Gordon, and your practice as well. And, I guess really, my key message is that, my goal is for this to be the one-stop shop. This is really my legacy to the profession. And, that's really it. This is my legacy to the profession. So I'm hoping that it becomes that.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. And we'll have links in the show notes and the show summaries and all that kind of stuff.
Thanks, Gordon.
Well, Amy, it's great to reconnect, and I'm sure we'll have you back here soon.
Absolutely. Thank you. And hugs to your wife as well.
Okay. Thanks.
All right. Thanks, Gordon.
Well, big thanks to Dr. Amy Fortney Parks, and be sure and check out clinicalsupervisiondirectory.com. I think this is really something that is going to be really one of the things that's going to be a big part of what we do in our clinical work, and that is, paying it forward, so to speak, by training other therapists and becoming supervisors. And I realize that people are at different stages in their clinical work, but particularly for those of us that are as Amy referred to it, the OG, the old guard, I think it's a good opportunity to not only bring people into your practice, but also pay it forward and pay it back to our professions, because everyone knows that we are in a big shortage for mental health providers right now. And for those of us that have group practices, it's really difficult to hire people right now just because everybody is full. And so be sure and check it out. And you'll find links here in the show notes and the show summary for all the stuff mentioned here in this particular episode. And also be sure and check out the Practice Launch Club. And as I mentioned at the beginning, if you feel like you want some support, particularly in the coming year, and particularly if you're in those beginning stages of private practice, the Practice Launch Club is designed exactly for that. It is an exclusive membership community for those folks where you're going to get the support and the interaction with me, but also interaction with a lot of other great folks in the field. So be sure and check it out. practiceoftherapy.com/launch club and use the promo code PLC22, and that will get you the discount for membership in the coming year. For as long as you are a member of the Practice Launch Club. So be sure and check that out. And as always, big thanks to TherapyNotes for being a sponsor of the podcast. You can find out more about them by going to practiceoftherapy.com/therapynotes. So they are the leading electronic health record system for mental health providers. And as mentioned, I use them in my practice and couldn't do without them. And be sure and use the promo code Gordon, just GORDON, and you can try them out for 2 months for free. And they are a wonderful product and a wonderful service, and just provide lots of support and really are the backbone of my practice as far as the clinical records and that sort of thing. And stay tuned to next week's episode. I'm looking forward to you hearing that. It's going to be a solo episode with just me, but I'm going to be kind of reflecting about the year and just things that you might be interested in with the practice of therapy, and so just thinking about the new year and maybe planning for that, putting all of that together as we speak, or as I speak now, and getting that episode together. So take care, folks, and thanks again for being part of this journey with me. And be sure and take time to follow us wherever you might be listening. And also check out the PsychCraft Network over at psychcraftnetwork.com for a lot of other great podcasts that are in this private practice space, as you heard from Kim here at the very beginning. So take care, folks. You've been listening to the Practice of Therapy podcast with Gordon Brewer, part of the Psychcraft network of podcasts. You can find out more about the other great podcasts in the network by visiting psychcraftnetwork.com. And if you haven't done so already, please visit us at practiceoftherapy.com and get your free private practice startup guide, along with a lot of other great resources and webinars and free things just by visiting. Also, be sure to follow us wherever you might be listening to your podcasts. This podcast is intended to be educational in purpose and is not intended to give legal, accounting, or counseling advice. If you need a professional, find the right person for that.